Hello, my name is Duncan and welcome to Back Books or Back Away from the Donkey. Today I'm going to speak to you about Dimension of Miracles by Robert Sheckley. This is like before Hitch Hikers Guide to the Galaxy. I loved Hitch Hikers Guide to the Galaxy. I have my main book copy there. And I also have the best version, which was the original radio series on CD there. That was brought out in 1978. Well, obviously not the CDs, because CDs weren't around then. But it came on the radio, BBC Radio 4 in the UK initially. Dimension of Miracles came out in 1968, written by Robert Sheckley. Robert Sheckley was born in 1923, or was it 28? In the 1920s anyway. He was a really interesting writer, wrote lots of absurdist and satire, science fiction. He went on to write some detective mysteries and things like this. His best period was probably between the 50s and the 60s, before he got carried away with some recreational drugs, which basically fried a lot of his brain as far as I can work out. He still produced stuff through the 70s, 80s and 90s, varying quality. Towards the back end of his life, I think his output got better, but that's all debatable. But he produced, he did a story called The Prize of Peril, which basically predicted a lot of reality TV in the 1950s. His book, The Seventh Victim, was filmed as The 10th Victim, which is a story of people hunting other people on TV for a big prize. So he was, not that he predicted the future, but he went forward and extrapolated what could happen. So I always think when people say that science fiction predicts the future, they're wrong. Science fiction doesn't really predict the future. It more chucks out lots of ideas, and somebody at some point is going to hit a goal and find out what's going on there. Excuse me. So I've got a few bits of paper here in case I get really confused. So Dimension of Miracles is about a man called Thomas Commoddy, who lives on Earth, and Earth is not a spacefaring nation. It's like it is now or then at the time. But he wins the intergalactic lottery, even though he didn't enter it as far as he knows. And he gets taken to the central of the galaxy, and he's given his prize. Well, his prize is like this talking box that changes shape and seems totally useless. And from there, he's sort of left alone. There's a bit there that you find out another Thomas Commoddy who should have won the prize, and there's an argument going on there. But the main thing is he has to get himself back to Earth, because normal spacefaring people have like a homing instinct, so they know how to get themselves back. So basically it's his adventures trying to get back to Earth, but at the same time he's got the intergalactic law of predation, which basically means if you're out there, there is like an alter ego of yours who's going to try and trap you and kill you. So he's got to try and outrun this at the same time. So through his way, on the way back, sorry, probably didn't make sense, while he's trying to make his way back to Earth, he goes through all these different areas and meets some gods. There is a people that construct planets, which is very Hitch Hikers-ish, if you know Hitch Hiker stuff. There's a sentient town that want to make him so comfortable and make sure he's sleeping properly, which is quite hilarious. But it's him and this box that he's one that keeps talking box that keeps talking to him, trying to get back through to Earth. It's almost saying that you need to live in the moment and things like this, which I find quite a weird sort of point of things. And it is so dense and so much stuff in there. I would be surprised if anybody could publish it today, just because it's so really, really, really far out there, as far as I'm concerned. The prose style is a little more difficult to dial into than Douglas Adams. Douglas Adams is a very easy writer to read. But the Robert Sheckley stuff is well worth reading this. It's quite a short book. It is. Let me see how many pages my version is. It's 138 pages. So I read this in a day or so. But it's, you read it and you think, okay, this is where Douglas Adams got a load of his ideas from. But there's an interview with Neil Gaiman, who did a lot of work with Douglas Adams, and Douglas Adams basically told him that he'd never read Robert Sheckley until after he'd done Hitch Hikers. After he'd produced a radio series, people saying, you need to read Robert Sheckley, you need to read Robert Sheckley. And apparently he was quite shocked at the comparisons and the parallels with it. And I have no reason not to believe that that's what happened. There's many times that authors come up with similar ideas. But it is quite interesting, the sort of parallels, because you get to a couple of points in Dimension of Miracles and you go, okay, that's very much like the Hitch Hikers Guide to the Galaxy. And, you know, it's quite striking, the things about it. So I think for an interesting read, it's quite a short read, as I said. And if you like Hitch Hikers Guide to the Galaxy, I think it's worth a read. I'm not sure it's for everybody, because I said it's incredibly dense in there. There's so many layers of satire going on. There's lots of obvious digs at things like the 60s counterculture at the time, but there's also digs at administration and over, what's the word I'm looking for? Bureaucracy, that's the word I'm looking for, which actually was some of the themes that you see in Hitch Hikers Guide to the Galaxy as well, a dig at over bureaucracy. So that's what I mean. So the themes are very similar, and I said there's incredible parallels, especially when you hit the people building planets and things like this. But worth read. So if you want a nice little read, as I said, Robert Sheckley, Dimension of Miracles. Okay, thank you very much.